Hi everyone, JJ here with Stocks Today with JJ. Today we're going to look at this clip. I'm going to react to it. It's an extreme Tesla bull who thinks that Tesla's the next Enron and he's got a really low price target on the stock. Let's just get into it. Let's see what he's got to say.
Tesla shares fractionally lower, just flat barely to the downside right now, after shareholders reapproved of Elon Musk's multi-billion-dollar pay package. Now the stock is
Multi-billion dollar, huge, over $50 billion pay package.
down nearly 30% compared to last year. You're taking a 1 year look here, and we're taking a look at the shares over that 52-week period. Our next guest has been shorting the stock since 2020 and sees more risk to the downside for the EV maker. Per Lakander, who is the Clean Energy Transition CEO and Portfolio Manager, here with more. Per, great to have you on the program with us. First and foremost here, how much slippage do you think we could see?
A lot.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Well, in my view, Tesla is the biggest stock market bubble in world history.
That's saying something, the biggest bubble in world history. You know, we go back to the South Sea bubble. If you read about those stocks, there's been some pretty big ones. And of course, Japan was pretty big, real estate bubble and real estate bubble and stock market bubble at the same time. .com bubble, huge. So this is really big. And he's comparing it to Enron.
And we have just seen the start of it. You see that the models are aged, and valuation is absolutely insane. Earnings are falling off a cliff. I would say they're falling 50% this year.
The earnings were pretty bad. That last earnings call was pretty shocking. The margins are way down. Definitely not great numbers there. So it will be interesting to see what happens next.
I have like 140 earnings for this year. I think consensus is 265. It was like 5 at the beginning of the year. So if you think of it, $1.50, how do you value that? I think given that there is no growth there, 10 times earnings is very generous. So my price target is $15.
$15, 10 times earnings. So he's talking about the PE multiple here, and the margins have definitely gone down. Well, investors get a shock here when the earnings come out next time. I mean, people aren't taking it seriously when people like this come on. But I mean, what if?
Having said that, I think this in the end is going to be a donut, because once it gets into those levels, there's so much going on here in terms of class action lawsuits, boards, which is paying itself enormous money, Elon, which is paying itself enormous money. So I think
going on there, constant lawsuits, as he says, but retail investors are still invested. There's kind of a cult around Tesla, and look at the price today. It's as this was recorded, 182. I think it's gone down since then, but 15. What would it take for it to get to 15?
This is hugely dangerous, and in the end, it's going to prove to be the next Enron.
Lots of questions. I guess first, just starting off with some of the concerns that you listed. Those concerns have certainly not caught up to the stock price. And even taking a look at the reaction that we saw from some of Musk's comments last night, there initially was some excitement surrounding the growth, at least that he sees for Tesla over the next several years. I guess my first question to you is, what's going to change the perception here or the minds of investors? Because up until this point, we haven't seen some of those concerns that you've laid out reflected really at all in the stock price.
I would say yes and no. Let's not forget that the stock is down 60% from all-time high at the same time as the market has gone up 20-25% in the meantime.
That's right. So the peak of Tesla was in late 2021. It was well over 400. It's pretty much been cut in half, more than cut in half. And so it stayed there. So what he's saying is that was the peak of the bubble, and it's been going down ever since. It's been a bit of a slow grind down, but some of the projections from Tesla bulls were pretty much higher. And we've seen the projections from ARK saying is just the robotaxi business kicking it along again. And I think they said 63% by 2029 of the whole Tesla's business will be robo-taxis, and they're projecting a $1.2 trillion revenue by then, which is a huge projection. It's so different from what this guy's saying.
So, but it's step by step. Where what will need to happen here is, of course, that the retail crowd needs to give up, because that is what's holding up this stock. Valuation makes absolutely no sense. Trades on.
Per, do you think the retail trader though will give up on this? And I think that's so interesting, especially surrounding Tesla, and that
it's going to take a lot for the retail trader, and Tesla's unusual that it's got such a high amount of retail in it, and we saw that with Elon's pay, the pay vote for his massive pay, that really it was the retail vote that got it over. So if retail holds the stock up, it would have to take a lot for them to lose confidence, I think, but it's not impossible. And if it'll come on earnings, it's the stock market is a voting machine in the short term and a weighing machine in the long term. So there was a time when people were seeing 50% growth in Tesla, and the numbers were way better than they are now. So if it continues, and the whole projection is on things that don't exist yet, really.
Excitement and exactly what that group of investors has been able to do around the broader story here for Tesla.
But everyone runs for the hills when it goes down. So the stock needs to go down. Once it goes down, it's going to go down more. And I think what drives it down is earnings. And I think
we have seen that. If I just interrupt you, we have seen that when the stock gets below 100, there are a lot of Tesla faithful that start to abandon ship a little bit and start selling and saying the board needs to be changed and that sort of thing.
I think we are very, very close to the turning point, because so far it's been a slippery slope. They've sold cars poorly, therefore they lowered the price, therefore earnings went down, and it's circulated. Now they are very, very close to ways end here. This quarter, they have really introduced almost 0% interest rates on the cars. When Q2 results come, if you think Q1 had terrible deliveries, but actually not that bad earnings. In Q2, they have done everything to get cars out of the door, and it's gone relatively well. So deliveries are not going to be great, but they're going to be okay. But earnings, 25th of July, are going to be absolutely terrible. There is a chance that the company will be loss-making.
Wow, that's amazing. Loss-making. If the earnings come out and they're loss-making. So, by the way, if you're watching this on YouTube, do remember to smash that like button to help the algorithm to spread as more people. It really does work, and this channel's just starting out, really. And so it would be good if you could do that. And if you're new here, definitely, if you want to subscribe, go ahead and do that.
And if it's loss-making one quarter and then it's loss-making in Q3, I can guarantee you this is double digits. And then I think many fanboys will run for the hills, and then we are at my 14.
Wow, if it goes to double digits, well, under 100, that's when people do start to get concerned, the fanboys, as he says. But that going way down there, there are a few people that are projecting that. Gordon Johnson's another one, and so this guy too. So we'll have to see what happens.
Earlier in the hour, we spoke to Dan Ives, Wedbush Securities analyst and managing director, actually. Here's what he had to say about the EV maker's future. And I want to get your reaction on the other side.
But also, this is one you're going to see 3-4 million vehicles per year when you look out 4 or 5 years from now. And again, betting against Musk, it's been the wrong move. And I think this has clearly been a turbulent period. But I could see that Cinderella story starting again as we go into 2025.
Now, you are clearly saying that there is a reason to bet against Musk. But it seems like there are a lot of, at least shareholders right now, regardless of whether or not retail is the single proponent that's holding up the stock, that you believe there's reason that you should bet against Musk. As long as Absolutely. Musk is in the helm, does it seem like this is a company that is eventually going to get towards what you've set forth in your own target?
So what I think he's missing is what's going on in the overall EV space. have to go a step back a bit. We came out of COVID.
It does. It has got very competitive. People just focus on these US companies who aren't selling a lot, but Chinese companies are really, especially BYD, doing very well. Let's see what he says about that.
The auto industry was constrained. There were early buyers of EVs. You made a killing, and Tesla was almost a monopolist, and they made a killing on this.
Yeah.
And then when things are very good, of course, everyone piles in. So all the conventional auto producers are piling in, and these models have started to come in 24. More of them are coming in 25. Tesla has nothing. So I'll tell you.
Well, yeah, new models. They're talking about the robotaxi being its own thing, but turning on FSD whenever that will happen. He talks about the other automakers, the traditional automakers, and that's true, but it's really the ones that are standalone EV like BYD. Well, actually, they're not. They do have a lot of other vehicles as well, but they are big into EVs, and there are other specific EV makers doing well rather than legacy. But they could they catch up?
There is a true cycle which is playing out in EVs. No one, being battery producer, auto producer, lithium miner, no one is going to make money over the next couple of years. And then Tesla has gone from being the leader to be the laggard. So, you can't have a stock being at 500 billion market cap if you make no earnings. And that's not been the case in the past. So I'm extremely convinced. And, just listen to what GM, Stellantis, Mercedes, whatever are saying on EVs. They don't make any money, and it's going to get way, way worse before it gets better.
Wow. I think we'll leave him there. That's amazing. That he thinks if they're making no earnings and it's a $500 billion stock, if I'm not 500 million, that would be a small cap. $500 billion company with a loss making, which he thinks it might happen. So this is going to be interesting times for Tesla throughout the rest of this year. Elon Musk has been increasingly erratic. I wonder if you can see this kind of thing coming in the next earnings. He's definitely trying to pump the stock up with various things, they're saying the robotaxi and so forth. But can it work? This guy says he's going to be the next Enron, which remains to be seen. And that was an extreme fraud. So that's what this guy's implying. But we'll have to see. A donut, he says. So I'm going to put on the screen a link to a video that YouTube thinks that you should watch next. And thanks for joining me. Thanks for everybody for watching or listening. And I'll see you in the next one.